Our members want a minister that will be there when you need them and love you unconditionally, that will preach great sermons, that will transport you to heaven and back, that will look good, dress well, and be good with money, and be a membership magnet. We gather this morning with so many ideas about what the ideal minister might be for this congregation, and it is not Judas. For those who might be here for the first time, I am this congregation's interim minister, and I will be here through June. Well, this fall, Fourth Universalist Society is beginning a search process for a new minister. Last June, the congregation elected a 6-person search committee. The next step that started last Sunday is to survey the congregation to assess what kind of minister the members want. That survey will be followed by focus group meetings. The survey and these meetings are extremely important for the search committee because the final candidate that they will put forward in May will be voted up or down by the members. For the search committee's selection of a new minister to be successful and overwhelming, not just a majority, not just like 2/3, overwhelming majority of the congregation must vote in favor of calling that minister. The power of discerning that choice finally resides with the members of this congregation. Not the leaders, not the board, not the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association, nor the Unitarian Universalist Association. The power is yours. For this reason, every member's input in this process is very important to its success. So please fill out your survey you got in your email last week thoughtfully, carefully, and reasonably, guided by your inner sense of what kind of minister will be best for this congregation. And attend a focus group meeting too to further communicate your insights and desires. This method of governance by our membership is called congregational polity. Congregational polity. We inherited this system of governance from our Unitarian and Universalist institutional ancestors through the Protestant Reformation and the philosophers of the European Enlightenment. Our religious identity today was born of the struggle between the Reformation and the Enlightenment, between revelation and reason. Protestants rejected the religious authority of Catholic bishops and the Pope. They believed you and I could go to the Bible, read it, and discern the truth found there, as well as maybe better than the bishops or the Pope could. Our religious ancestors rejected the self-dealing interpretations of the Bible and religion that benefited the institution of the church. The example that angered them the most at the time was the idea that someone could pay the church money, basically to bribe God to help their less than saintly relatives and friends be saved and get into heaven. Rejecting institutional authority, though, has some problems with it. The problem with interpreting the Bible for yourself, what was called solo scriptorium in Latin, was that many of them, as now, are not biblical scholars. Many of us then, as now, don't have the sharpest knives in our drawers to dissect theological arguments. But collectively, in community, in conversation and discussion, they believed that they could do a better job of understanding Scripture and God's message and guidance for us than self-interested clergy with silver tongues yet malign intent. And having someone available with scholarly training could clarify the scriptural text. Few, if any, understood Greek, Latin, or Hebrew, which made study of the original text, untranslated text, prohibitive. In the 16th century, few but the very wealthy could afford books to have their own copy to study. And this scholarly approach to Scripture arose through the European Enlightenment. Thinkers like Erasmus and our own Unitarian ancestor, Michael Servetus, applied reason over to the text to find its truth. The application of reason over superstition and supernaturalism was a hallmark of the divergence of our Unitarian Universalist ancestors from Congregationalist attachment to miracles and Trinitarian theology. Today, we inherit this trust in the independent congregational discernment of the early New England church members, these people who thought of them as the visible saints, that was applied to governance and selecting ministers. In that selection process, many members desired the inspiration and guidance a minister could offer a congregation, yet were protective of their autonomy. In our tradition today, a Unitarian Universalist minister needs a special skill set that helps them build community and consensus in a congregation while also offering vision and leadership. A minister is also at times expected to challenge the congregation to face and work through their less than exemplary behavioral patterns. For example, one of the most difficult patterns that many congregations struggle to face is congregational complicity with white supremacy culture, rampant in the United States and being divisively amplified by a current president. Another is resistance to religious pluralism that allows theists and atheists to coexist and respect one another. A minister can easily become a lightning rod for this kind of challenge to stimulate growth and development. In my 33 now years of ministry, I've learned a little bit about how to navigate these dangerous congregational waters with circling sharks and dangerous shoals hidden below the waterline. Unitarian Universalism has chosen a very difficult religious path that could also be said to be the fruition of the Protestant Reformation project. If we embrace the idea that there is no one right way to read Scripture, that the text may contain multiple, maybe conflicting, even paradoxical truths. We must then accept that there are multiple ways to be authentically religious. We may have different languages, metaphors, interpretations, symbols, but we are moving in the same direction through our shared values toward what is good, holy, and wise. A minister must be able to speak multiple languages of faith to affirm and support a membership without a central text or theology to guide it. And a minister must also have faith in the capacity of ordinary people to discover what is true. Unitarian Universalism's pluralism evolved from the early tension in analyzing Scripture between the poles of reason and revelation, positing our ability to discern the truth in Scripture individually, as the Reformation does, puts faith in the faculties of the individual human mind. Reason was one of the most powerful faculties to discern truth. Our Unitarian founding theologian, William Ellery Channing, believed God put reason in our heads so we could use it to extract God's messages to us from Scripture. It is a logical extension of reason as a means of God's truth to apply that gift to other religious traditions, such as Judaism and Islam too. Our transcendentalist ancestors made a leap as they read Eastern text, newly translated, and found reasonable parallels with Christianity and Jewish scripture. And those transcendentalists took a giant step beyond Scripture, saying we could have direct revelation through nature, through our own mind, without the intermediary of priest or Scripture, opening the mystical door to access truth directly. And yet there are dangers down the path of personal revelation. Those of us who have worked in mental hospitals have met deeply religious people with a direct connection to Christ, to God, to angels, devils, to other deities who are completely dissociated from our consensus reality. There are limits. There are limits that need to be respected to what one person alone can recognize about truth all by themselves. We need each other in this discerning process. Beautiful is the gift we give each other in Unitarian Universalism. We grant each other the inner space to discover what is true and what is good. And we also build community together that permits us to share our inner perception of truth and receive a response that can support our continuing growth and development. None of us, save maybe those with mental health disorder, can be completely sure they've discovered the capital T truth. We are all growing, changing, and developing throughout our lives till the day we die. We need companions on that journey to help guide each other. And a minister can be very helpful in that process. Unitarian Universalist ministers must go through rigorous and extensive training processes in a variety of skills and competencies. They have honed their thinking skills and feeling capacities to produce inspirational sermons and writings, and participate in insightful, generating dialogue. They learn organizational and administrative skills to lead a congregation's staff, to implement their congregation's vision and mission. They are trained in leading small groups to encourage individual growth and development. They are encouraged to develop their own spiritual resources, to have access to their own inner light as a companion to the reasoned analysis of and the emotional to scripture, philosophy, science, and literature. They learn to sense the footprints of truth in diverse locations. They learn how to de-center themselves and their biases to make room for another experience, seeking connections as well as honoring differences. And the leaders and members in a congregation can be very helpful in that same process too. Through creative partnerships with their minister, leaders and members can learn the skills that will enable them to gain access to and develop their own connection with their inner guidance process, be it scriptural, rational, and or mystical. And they can learn methods, processes, and intuitions that can support groups to access greater truth than any one individual in a group might have access to. When that is realized, true shared ministry comes to life. I hope you can appreciate better now the importance of the partnership we call shared ministry between minister and congregation. The minister you are seeking is looking for just such a partnership with you. Yet there are no perfect ministers, just as there are no perfect congregations. Each has strengths, weaknesses, and deficits. In the matching process your search committee will be doing requires knowledge of Fourth Universalists' strengths, weaknesses, and deficits to assess what minister will best complement them for the benefit of both. So let me repeat the whole point of this sermon. Fill out your survey. That survey that you got in email last week, thoughtfully, carefully, reasonably, guided by your own inner sense of what will be best for this congregation. And attend one of those focus groups too, to communicate those desires.